What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Q Dog, and I am back. Fixing my screen real quick. It's your boy Q Dog, and I'm back. What is up, big dogs? Ooh ooh. Sorry, that's not. That was supposed to be a dog. That was supposed to be a bark like ooh ooh. You know, I'm still working on it. My voice isn't all the way there yet, guys. But what up, big dogs? Ooh ooh. I'm not gonna cut none of this out because I'm raw with it. I'm just this has been one of the worst intros ever. But so today's video that I'm reacting to is top 10 terrifying signals that were sent. Top 10 terrifying signals sent from the afterlife. And the title really jumped out to me. I got really interested by the subject matter. So without further ado, it's already been 1 minute. Let's just dive on in.
Contact with the other side, or has a spirit ever reached out to talk to you? Today we'll be looking at people who have been in contact with the dead. From phone calls from the deceased to scare.
I'm gonna be full disclosure. I'm a huge believer in ghosts. But then again, I've lived in haunted houses before, so. When you actually have to deal with that, and people want to say, well, there's a scientific explanation, but you bring scientists over, you got to get your house blessed sometimes. If it's too bad, you got to bring a priest over. He has to, bless the house and whatnot, or whatever. But if you're not a religious person, you bring a scientist over. You got a knife that's floating in the middle of the kitchen, just hanging. It doesn't move at all for like minutes at a time, and then all of a sudden, it was one of my bros that went into the kitchen, and no lie, I was watching it happen in real time. He went into the kitchen to make a sandwich, and at this point, the knife wasn't floating. The knife floated up after he went in there. It waited till he walked past it. And once he walked past it, it floated up, and he wasn't paying attention. His back was to it. He was faced towards the counter, making a sandwich, and the knife threw itself, almost hit him. It almost hit him. Swear to Bob, when I seen that, nah, man, I don't play with nothing supernatural like that, guys. Sorry, my screen died, but okay, it didn't. We didn't go off. The recording didn't stop though, so that's good, but. Yeah, man, after that, bro, I wasn't messing with nothing supernatural, bro. You can't, fuck that, bro. You can't play, in my opinion.
Messages from Ouija boards. Let's talk about this and more only in today.
Hell no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Everybody knows about Ouija boards. Everybody knows why you don't mess with Ouija boards. Nah.
Video. Starting off this countdown, we have the static. There's a lot of stories out there about dead people calling their loved ones. It's freaky how many people have experienced this, just like this next person. So their aunt passed away from a number of health complications. A couple days later at around 7 a.m., her grandma, which was her aunt's mother, got a phone call. The caller ID said that it was their aunt calling. What was weird is that she normally called around 7 a.m. every day. But now, since she was dead, they were pretty confused. But they answered the phone, and all they heard was static. They believed that it was the aunt trying to get in contact with her mom again. Moving on at number 9, we have pennies from heaven. Have you ever heard of the term pennies from heaven? And I'm not talking about the song and movie. Well, some use this phrase to refer to ghosts using coins to communicate with you. Maybe you wake up and find a penny on the ground by your desk, and you're like, that's weird. How did that get there? Well, it might have been placed there by a spirit trying to get in contact with you. But why pennies? Well, the copper in which pennies are made up of are considered a conductor for electromagnetic fields, which are said to be emitted by spirits. So it's easy for them to manipulate pennies. A number of people have reported finding random pennies around their house after the passing of a loved one. This could be a sign that they are still there with you and are reaching out. Too bad here in Canada, they discontinued pennies, so whoops. In our 8th spot, we have...
There's a family member trying to reach out and whatnot, why don't you go ahead and skip them pennies, man, leave 100. Then I'll know. Grandma, you were looking out. You were looking out for me. I knew it, Graham. Graham. Yeah, no, I bet. I actually learned something new. I've never heard that before. That's wild. Pennies.
The doctor. According to this woman named
A lot of broke ass ghosts out there, man. No,
Warren C., her grandmother was a pediatrician from Puerto Rico, so a lot of people just called her La Doctora. When she passed away a few years ago, she believed that her grandmother reached out and left a note for her and her mom. So they were staying at a hotel when they found a note left.
Sounds like that La Llorona chick, bro. You better be careful.
On their dresser. The note read, "Contactos con los muertos." I'm so sorry, I know I butchered this, but it means contact with the dead, and it was signed La Doctora. How wild is that? They believe that this was from their grandmother, letting them know that she's still around. In our 7th spot, we have the EVP. EVPs are devices that ghost hunters use to get in contact with spirits. It's like a voice box for the spirits so that they can manipulate this device and use it to form words. Well, a woman named Kimberly H. decided to use one a week after her uncle died. The first thing that the spirit said was John, which is her dad's name. Then it got weirder because the second thing it said was brother. So she believes that she was talking to her uncle who was trying to get in contact with his brother, John, aka her dad. Unfortunately, Kimberly was too scared to continue on with the EVP device, so she never got to find out what his message to his brother was. In our 6th spot today, we have
pretty sure he would like to know that.
This story was posted
That's messed up, girl. He would probably want to. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it depends. It really does. That I don't know the full situation behind that. If they were enemies at the end of his life, or if they were cool, I don't know.
Absolutely insane geek on Reddit. According to him, when his dad was about 15 years old, he decided to use an Ouija board with his friends. As they were calling on a spirit, they actually got in contact with one, and it used the board to spell out the dad's name. The next thing it spelled out was sorry. The spirit was apologizing to the dad because his favorite uncle had recently passed away. In fact, it might have been the uncle himself reaching out to him. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Help Me. This next story...
I don't like the title of this next story. I'm telling y'all that right now. But we'll see.
Juby Love. So one day she was calling her mom when the call got picked up and all she heard was static. She said hello multiple times, but there was nothing. Then that's when she heard someone whisper on the other end of the line. She listened carefully, and she heard a woman whispering, help me, repeatedly. Now, she freaked out thinking that her mom was in trouble. The call ended, but she kept calling
That's what
back.
I would think.
A few calls later, her mom answered.
Uh-oh, she's limping. She's not about to get away. She ain't about to get it.
Claims that she never got the call until now, since she was out of service. So who was the woman on the other line that answered the phone and needed help? In our 4th spot today, we have the grandmother's warning. When Christian's family went out of...
That is strange. That is strange. Do you think it was the phone operator? I don't know if cell phones, use those. Now that I think about it, that's kind of stupid. I don't think cell phones use those at all. I mean, you remember... I remember... this wasn't my time, but I want to say it was it was before my time, but I heard about this a lot in my time where you had the pay phones. They would have the operators, and you could, you would have to go through the operator to reach who you were trying to reach. So I was like, maybe it could be her. But then again, I'm like, nah, I don't even want to put a year on that. Because like I said, that was before my time.
Town for spring break and left him alone, he thought, hey, what better time than to use an Ouija board? So he was in his kitchen using the board by himself when all of a sudden the kitchen sink turned on. When he asked who it was that did that, the board spelled out Renee, which was his great-grandmother's name. Then for some reason the planchette kept moving to the numbers 3 and 4.
Sorry about that, guys.
Well, his great-grandmother was 34 when she passed away. When he told his mom what happened, she freaked out. Apparently, Renee hated Ouija boards, and she was very, very against them. So she thinks that Renee was using the board to warn her family to stop using it.
Yeah, but I mean, sounds like a smart woman, man. That's silly.
Even with her being dead, she still found a way to scold her family. In our 3rd spot today, we had the party phantom. So this next individual, Jess Gals, shared a story on behalf of her friend. Her friend had just moved into a new house and decided to throw a party. While at the party, she had a little too much to drink and ended up leaving some drunken voicemails for her friends. The next day, they all were having a hoot listening to her drunk messages, until they heard something very scary at the back of one. In one of the voicemails, they heard this very scary, aggressive voice yell, "Vivian." A couple of days later, they were talking to their neighbors and found out that the previous tenant of their house was a lady named Vivian. She had died in that house. See, that's why you do your research on the house before you buy it and move into it. You gotta make sure no people die in the house and that it's not haunted. In our second spot, we have the poem.
They just had to show that video, man.
Absolutely wild.
That story already creeped me out already, man. But they just had to show that little fucking video at the end, man. I see y'all. I see what y'all doing. Big dog. Oh. That was actually not the best bark, but it was better than the last few I've been coming out with. You know what I'm saying? But no, yeah, they had to show that last video, man. That last story really did. That's why I didn't talk much for that last story, because that was like, it's kind of freaky. What the heck? Sorry.
It was shared by Reddit user Kazurli on behalf of her mom. According to the Reddit user, her mom was very close to her grandmother. Just before she passed away, her gran bought her a book full of poems. When she did pass, she randomly found the book sitting open.
Spell book, I'm calling it. She gave her a book full of spells.
In plain sight. The book was open to a page called "Do Not Weep at My Grave." From then on, her mom would read her that story every night for months on end until they both felt better about the grandma's passing. Fast forward to several years later, her mom found the poem book and decided to revisit that passage. However, it was no longer in the book. She flipped through it madly, but the poem called "Do Not Weep at My Grave" was not there. In fact, it wasn't even...
What did I just say? What the heck did I just spell book? Spellbook. And definitely not
the table
okay.
Of contents. It was never in the book at all. So they both think that this was a sign from her gran as a way to help them deal with their grief. And in our number one spot today, we have Pat. While in college, Mary Kay and her sorority sisters decided to play with an Ouija board one night. To make things spookier, they took the board to the oldest frat house on campus. At first, they were all fooling around with the board, and that was until it kept spelling out Pat, 18, Keg, and NU, which made no sense to any of them. They just thought that one of the sisters was fooling around and moving the planchette. That was until later on when they found out that the house that they were in once was named Sigma NU. But it was shut down in the 80s because an 18-year-old freshman named Pat died from alcohol poisoning during a kegger. Remember
he was
what the
getting
board
it in.
spelled out? Pat, 18, Keg, NU. That story just gave me chills all over. Man. All right, let's move on to our comment shout-out portion. But before that, comment me down below.
But yeah, seeing as that was a list, and I'm like I told you guys, I'm sorry for all the messages in the middle of the reaction and whatnot. I'll make sure that doesn't happen anymore. But I've been very popular as of this weekend, and I just had a lot to do. And as you guys can see, I moved around for this reaction just because I'm about to head out here in a second. But what I will say about this is some of these stories were downright freaky, man. Just unbelievable. But if you like this reaction, leave a like, share, and subscribe. You know that subscribe button down there? It's totally free. If you do want to support the channel, I have a Patreon. You can go check that out. But yeah, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. And love everybody out there. Remember, spread positivity, no negativity in the doghouse. All right, peace, y'all.